What's up, horror fans? Pete here from the Lassercast, where me and my good friend Danny Torkel over there, Dr. Zayas God, discuss horror movies and streaming shows. Netflix has us by the balls, all of us, because for every holiday for the rest of 2025, we're going to be watching Stranger Things and talking about Stranger Things. Season 5, episodes 1 through 4, just dropped on Netflix right before Thanksgiving. Then we've got 3 more episodes on Christmas, and then 1 more episode on New Year's Eve. So I don't know about you, Danny, but I have just grown to love this show a lot more than when it initially came out. How do you feel about Stranger Things in general?
Well, before I even say anything about that, uh, it's funny what you just said. Ask me what I'm doing on New Year's Eve.
I grabbing someone's balls? I don't know what.
Uh, I got tickets for me, Athena, and Charlotte. We're going
Yes.
to the Regal Cinema by my house that I used to work at, my first job when I was 16 years old. We're going to
Whoa.
the Regal Cinema to watch the 2.5 hour finale of Stranger Things. 8 o'clock at night on New Year's Eve. We
Nice.
figure that with like intro and trailer and shit, it probably won't start till 8:15, 8:20. We'll probably be out of the theater. It's 5 minutes from my house. We'll be home before 11. Haha. And then I only have to stay up 1 hour, and in which we will be talking about, probably crying about the finale of this show. Um, I I don't know if I've loved this entire series as much as you have, but I have loved it overall.
Yeah.
I just feel that it's been up and down,
Yep.
especially there. So last season for me
Yeah.
had a lot of storylines, some of which I loved, and some of which maybe a lot of which I was not that into. Hopper and oh god, Joyce, Hopper and Joyce and Murray in Russia. I just every time they went back to Russia, it was like flashing on the screen. Danny, scroll through your phone. And I was like,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
And then they would come back to Hawkins, and I'd be like, ooh. Or they'd come back to Dustin and Eddie and everything with Max and Vecna, and I was like, oh man, that's fucking awesome. Um, the the storyline in California, I was so out of turning Jonathan into a pothead with that annoying guy Argyle. The storyline, even with 11, where she basically had to she goes back to Dr. Brenner and uh, Paul Reiser is there. Like I felt like he was redeeming himself for Carter Burke back in 1986 in
Right, right,
Aliens. Uh,
right.
that storyline, I was like, but the Vecna stuff and the Hawkins stuff was so fucking good that it just overwhelmed the slow, annoying stuff.
Right.
And then the other thing, and it's not even anything that really has to do with the show, it's just, it's the delays. It's the Netflix waiting 3 years to
Yeah.
film another season. It's
Right.
it's having to sit there and watch 24-year-old and 21-year-old and 23-year-old adults play the kids that they played when this show started when they actually looked like kids. It's the fact that Millie Bobby Brown is, married with a child
Yeah.
and she's playing a high school kid, training to fight Vecna. And so that's not anything to do with the show. But
Right.
it's like things like that kind of weave their way into how I feel about the show. But
Right.
then, and this goes to your point, I think, I finally turned on episode 1 over the Thanksgiving break,
Okay.
and it took me about 25 to 30 minutes of episode 1. And
Okay.
I was just like, I'm back. I'm
Yep.
back. I'm back in
Yep.
fucking Hawkins. I'm back with these characters. You know, I'm into it. And really by the middle of episode 2, I was just like full throttle. Let's fucking go.
Yep.
Um, I will say I there's two. I want to say there's two kind of big no, there's three big reveals
Okay.
that happen in these 4 episodes.
Right.
I was 100% easily, like right from the first second that they were storyline threads, I knew two of those things right away. The
Oh, okay.
third thing completely surprised me and made me, when I thought about it for like 12 seconds, made me laugh out loud. And we'll talk about that later on.
Okay. That works. Yeah, we can jump into spoilers in a minute. I kind of wanted to say how I felt about the show too. Like I've always been annoyed by the show in general because I feel like people really love this show and obsess over it. And it started out with season 1 where like when Barb died, there were people that had like Barb shirts and stuff, and I was like, who the fuck? Like, who cares about Barb? She's barely in the show. Like, I didn't understand why people were so invested in Barb, right?
Oh, you're gonna
Um,
trigger the people in the comments.
Good, bring them on. Give us some fucking comments. We could use some. But like the show, like I feel like they think that we like really love the characters, and the show is so dramatic and it's so like mind blowing. And I don't think it is. But this show can be very cruel at times, and in a good way. I like when horror movies, in particular, but any kind of genre, when it can be kind of nasty. Not like in an overly gratuitous, like we're just being nasty for nasty's sake, like Terrifier, but like when a thing is mean, that ups the stakes. It gives this overall sense of excitement, and you're like, oh, I don't want something like that to happen to these characters. Speaking of characters, I've felt many different ways about each character on this show. There are some that I really love. There's some where I'm like, I don't really care what happens to them. But like Steve, come on, like I fucking love Steve. I love Robin. I like Joyce a lot. I like Hopper a lot. 11, not, I don't really care about 11, honestly. Mike used to be one of my, I used to like just get so annoyed with Mike. But then this season, he's become like the MVP. And then Will has sort of been this like background character, but then he's become like this amazing character this season as well. And then there's been characters that have kind of come on the show and left. Like Max is a great example. Like I've always kind of liked Max, and I liked her brother a lot in his season. I know that when the show first came out, the Duffer Brothers said that they had this whole mythology worked out. They had 5 seasons of a show planned out. And I was like, where are they going to go with this? Especially when I watched season 2, where they just had kind of like little demigorgon dogs. And that was sort of the extent of the whole season, was just that. And I was like, well, it's kind of like Aliens, where there was one in the first season and now there's a whole bunch of them. And they even have fucking Paul Reiser in it, right? But 3, 4, and 5, I just felt like it just kept getting better and better. And I feel like when we get to this show where it has this kind of post-apocalyptic vibe, where Hawkins is in this quarantine state, the military's all over the place, and the characters like going through underground tunnels and like communicating with secret codes and stuff so they can do these missions that involve the Upside Down. I was like, I think this is the show the Duffer Brothers have always been wanting to make, and everything has been building up to this. So I thoroughly enjoyed episodes 1 through 4 of this show, and there wasn't really anything that I was like, we can do without this, or this is annoying. I think I loved every aspect of this season. So with that being said, why don't we get to those 3 reveals that you were talking about, and I kind of want to know what you're saying the 3 reveals are.
All right. Well, I'll get to that in like 30 seconds, but I just want to piggyback on what you just said with the characters. You put out a Pete on the Street from your couch, I think, when you asked, what characters do you think could die on this show? And that got a ton of responses. Um, and I think it, to your point, people are really invested in these characters. We've literally watched them grow up.
Yeah.
Um, like we've watched, like they don't even look the same. Finn Wolfhard does not look anything like he did as a kid. Like it just, freaking like I feel like Hopper doesn't look the same,
Right.
but
Right.
uh I feel like this show has there's two different ways they have done amazing things with characters. Steve to me is the ultimate example because Steve was really a detestable character for the first half of season 1. And if you go back to season 1, there's this towards the end of that season when they are flashing the Christmas lights in the buyer's house and he's standing there with the bat. I am convinced he's there to be killed. He is the character that is there to die. And not only does he not die, but he gets probably the greatest character rebuild and character like reversal
Right.
ever.
Right.
To the point where now it's like if Steve dies, I feel like it's like a wrestling show where it's like, if this guy wins, we'll riot. And it's like
Right.
if Steve dies, we'll riot.
Yeah.
I like Robin goes from being like, oh, is she just gonna be the new love interest to oh no, this is a really complex character to oh shit, I fucking love this one and I don't want her to go anywhere anyway. I loved, one of the things that Charlotte and I were talking about was like there's a scene early in this season where the Wheeler family gets attacked. Holly
Yep.
is taken, and Mrs. Wheeler has this like stay away from her, you bitch moment, like friggin' Sigourney Weaver and aliens. And I'm sure these alien um comparisons are exactly what the Duffers wanted.
Right.
Even fucking the worst character on the entire show, Ted Wheeler, goes in with a golf club to try to defend his family.
Right.
Charlotte and I have had a running joke, by the way, that Ted Wheeler is actually Vecna because he's the worst character on the show, and therefore he should be the ultimate evil. Uh,
Right. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
literally just a running joke. We hate Ted Wheeler in this house. Um,
Understandable.
but one of the things that came out of that was that Mike and Nancy end up on screen together for a lot of the first two episodes. And I swear to God, I almost forgot that they were the siblings.
Whoops. Yeah.
Because how many times has Mike Wheeler and Nancy Wheeler been together in 4 seasons?
Not many.
Almost never. So the
Right.
fact that like they're in the hospital and they're talking about, everything that they've been through together and they're talking about their parents and how they have to save Holly. I was like, this is great. This is
Right.
fucking great stuff. Like
Yep.
these are character combinations that we haven't gotten. Like even the fact that like Steve and Dustin are like at odds with each other this season after they've been besties for 2.5 seasons.
Right.
It's like that's like a nice little interesting twist. Lucas and Mike feel like they're much more involved this year. And fucking Will, after just being the like annoying fourth kid, now is like one of I finally feel like he's a main character again. And
Yep.
my God, at the end of the 4 episodes, you really feel like he's a fucking main character.
Yep.
Uh okay. That was a lot more than 30 seconds, but like you talked a lot about the characters, and I agree with you. And that's what the Duffers hit the jackpot on. They created characters that we care about.
Right.
And when you have a show with a huge ensemble and you can almost take any two characters, I don't know if I call it like the rule of two, where it's like any show that has a big ensemble, you could take any two characters and put them on screen together and you're
Right.
just like instantly invested in whatever those two characters are doing, and they have great chemistry. And
Right.
I feel like so far this season has been like that. Um,
Absolutely.
in terms of the reveals, okay, so spoiler territory. It's been out since Thanksgiving. We're recording this on December 4th, so stop watching now if you haven't watched for some reason Stranger Things yet. Uh, in episode 2, Mr. What's It, the second he appeared on screen, even though you couldn't see his face in some situations, you just saw Holly talking to somebody. Nobody was actually standing there. I literally in 1 second I went, "Oh, that's got to be
Harry.
Vecna, but as a human." And like I had
Right.
forgotten his name was Henry Creel, but I was like, that's got to be that guy, like a
Yeah.
100%. And so that I was right on top of. So like when they finally do reveal that it is Henry, that didn't do much for me as like a surprise. It did not affect. I want to make it clear. Me guessing these reveals
Yeah.
did not ruin anything for me. I just kind of felt like okay, good. I understand what this show is trying to do.
Right.
Um, the other one is when Holly gets taken to the Creel house in Henry's mind world thing, and there's somebody watching her, and somebody put a map in the mailbox. And I look at Charlotte and I go, I know who that is. I know who it is. And she goes, don't say it. Don't say it. She
Right.
had already watched the show. Um, Charlotte's obsessed with this show. Like it's like I remember we covered this one time like years ago, and
Right.
like I think Charlotte and Pepper came on for, like one time they like did an episode with us. Does Pepper still watch it? Is she still into it?
Yeah. Yeah. She's not all the way caught up, but she's up to like episode 3.
Okay, so the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I have a tradition where I go to the movies and have turkey with my friend. I've been doing it since 1999. So we went out, we saw The Running Man, and I came home and Charlotte had already watched 2.5 episodes. This is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Right.
The morning of Thanksgiving, um, Athena caught up, watched the first 2 episodes, and then her and Charlotte together finished. By the time we were sitting at the Thanksgiving table, by the time we were even downstairs having appetizers at like 12:30, my wife and daughter had finished Stranger Things, and I was just sitting there like, boy, you guys suck. Thanks.
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
so Charlotte was way ahead of me, and she actually came back to watch episodes 3 and 4 with me. So I'm telling her, I'm like, I know who's putting that map in the mailbox. I know who it is. And she's like, shut up. Don't say it out loud. Just allow yourself to be surprised. And then of
Yeah.
course I'm like, it's Mr.
Right.
Wheeler. And she's like, shut
Right.
up.
Ah.
But I I obviously, from the second that whole thing started, I was like, it has to be Max. She's in a
Right.
coma. It would make sense that because she's in a coma, she's still kind of connected to Henry and Vecna. And also, just by process of elimination, she's the only main character who hadn't really been on screen yet.
Right. Right. Right.
That being said, Sadie Sink is fucking great. Charlotte is obsessed with her. We went to see a Broadway play that she was in called uh oh god, I forgot what it was called. It's the main character from oh god. What's the Salem witch trial play? Um
Oh, the Crucible.
Yes, it's the main character from the Crucible, John Proctor. John Proctor must die, or John Proctor is the villain. John
Oh,
Proctor is
okay.
not John dies at the end. John
Right.
Proctor
Right.
is the villain. Is the name
Yeah.
of the Broadway play that she was in,
Yeah.
and I took her and her friend to see that, and like she came out stage door, and Charlotte got to meet her, and Charlotte was just crying the whole time.
Wow.
Um, so she's very excited to see Sadie Sink back. And Sadie Sink is just fucking great. Like, she was in The Whale, which won Brendan Fraser an Oscar. She's like a legitimately great actress. And like, now that this show is ending, I think she's probably going to be the most successful actress or actor from Stranger Things, like who ends up doing like other movies
Yeah.
and shows. But yeah,
Well,
that
did
was the
you?
second reveal.
Yeah. Did you watch X-Men '97 or no?
Yes, the cartoon. Yeah,
Yeah. So like Madeline Pryor, like
yeah.
the one that like replaces Jean, like she becomes like the Goblin Queen in
Is
one of
that
the
Sadie
episodes.
Sink?
Well, so people are speculating because she's going to be in the next Spider-Man movie. She's going to be in the next Tom
Mm.
Holland Spider-Man movie, and there's been speculation that she's going to be Madeline Pryor, which I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with Spider-Man whatsoever? But like, I think they might be like seeding X-Men characters into MCU movies. So if
Yeah.
she's Madeline Pryor, that would mean that she's Jean Grey too. And I think that's actually great casting. Jean Grey's a
Oh
redhead.
my God, she's perfect as just like a literal fiery redhead.
Right, exactly, exactly. So I
Uh,
mean, we'll see. But what were you gonna say for the third reveal? The Will one?
so the third reveal that made me laugh out loud was when when her and Hopper finally break in, they get past Sarah Connor,
Oh, yeah,
and they go into that room, and
the
you're
sister.
expecting that they have Vecna in there,
Right.
and it's the sister from season 2. And I laughed out loud and I said, wow. I said to my friend at work, I said, you know what that scene shows you? It shows you that the Duffer Brothers are really sick of people complaining online about that episode.
Right.
And it shows you that the Duffers are like, oh, yeah? You think that was a throwaway episode? We were planning this all along. And to
Right.
that I
Right.
say, bullshit, bullshit,
Yeah.
bullshit,
Yeah.
Duffers. Uh, it didn't bother me, but it did make me laugh out loud.
Sure. Sure.
And then,
No.
this is the last one. The last thing we see, if this is a reveal, Will having like what are basically Eleven's powers, having like his fucking X-Men moment.
Yes.
Uh, I loved that.
Yes.
And
That
that
was
made me almost give like a fuck yeah, like at the end, like, because that was fucking great. I thought that, and again, that's something that it makes sense in a way. Like, we find out in the literal opening scene of the first episode that Vecna has been behind everything from the very beginning, and that Vecna has literally been like, you're going to run with this one, pumping evil down Will's throat since the opening moments, since he was kidnapped by the
I mean,
Demogorgon.
I thought you were gonna say grooming Danny, but then you're like, no, he's just fucking pumping down his throat. Okay, great. Okay, good. This might get demonetized. Um, no, I look. Here's the thing. I was crying to the point where I was almost like shaking with that scene when Will charges up and like takes over the Demogorgons because, like I said, I've had a love-hate relationship with this show. There is a fucking excellent monologue from Robin. I think it's in that episode or it's in the previous episode where she talks about how she had this crush. The crush wasn't interested in her. She was interested in Steve, which is a reference to another episode, another season, because she tells that story to Steve at one point, and she says that she like realized she watched these like 8mm films. She saw her old self, and she realized that she had everything she needed inside of her. And I have another channel. I have Aether and ATX, which is like my manifestation channel. I still make videos for that. And that's a big, big part of like manifestation. The idea of like you already have everything that you need inside of yourself. Like you don't need external things. And it was really cool to see someone say something like that in this like super popular show. And then to like show Will's mind essentially with his 8mm films and show like him meet Mike and like weave it in with Dungeons and Dragons, that like really got into my fucking soul, man. That was
Yeah.
like it was so good. And here's the thing, like his situation with Vecna is very similar to Harry Potter and Voldemort, right? It's like all of a sudden he starts to like wig out when Voldemort's nearby. Same thing with like Demogorgons and Vecna. You said that Will has like Eleven's powers. I wouldn't say that. I feel more like he's got Vecna's powers, which are all
Yeah,
kind of like
no,
a
that makes
variation.
more sense. That makes more
Yeah,
sense.
right. But kind of like a variation. Like the mythology of the show is deeper than I think people believe it to be. They give it so much credit for its amazing show, but like there's real cleverness behind the world building, right? Because like for example, I think with someone's fucking calling me my dad. Let me just decline it. Um, like I was didn't die in any of the seasons, and she was like, "Yeah, we do," and I think she was kind of wrong. I don't think we ever see a Demogorgon die. Even in the first season, 11 like pushes it through a wall, and I'm assuming she kind of like pushes it back into the upside down. But I don't think she destroys it. And then
Well,
she
doesn't
herself.
what's his name? Doesn't Hopper cut the head off of the Demogorgon in the like Russian jail pit at the
Okay,
end of?
okay, so maybe, but I guess what I'm getting at is I think they're like really fucking powerful and lethal. They're taking like multiple machine gun blasts to the chest. They're on fire, and they don't seem to die. And to me, that's really impressive. Because usually when you get to a point in a movie, in a show, comic book, anything, when there's like multiple versions of that same scary creature, it usually they become like cannon fodder. I mean, it happened in the Xenomorph, right? Where it's like we just see them get all mowed down. But in this show, these things have never been like fully destroyed. Maybe they were once, right? But like it's to me, it's just so interesting that like Vecna controls these things, and I kind of want to know more. I want to know like what exactly, like what did he tap into that made him Vecna? They showed it in the flashbacks in the previous season where like 11 sent him into the upside down, but I feel like there's even so much more. Like, don't you feel like there's more than just the upside down? Like that there's like some sort of like
Well,
hell level. Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I feel like there's lore that I probably wouldn't even get because it's so built into like the Dungeons and Dragons mythology. But like it also kind of feels very Lovecraftian. Uh, the Stephen King book Revival, the end of Revival, where like
Right, right.
the upside down is like a door, the doorway to this like world just full of horrible monstrosities that like come out and devour humanity. Lovecraft has a story, my favorite Lovecraft story, The Rats in the Wall, about like a haunted mansion where they hear the scurrying of rats in the wall, and they follow the sound down into a basement, and then they dig and they dig and they find like effectively like a doorway to like another like endless world of that's below ours.
Wow.
And it's like full of, you know, those Lovecraftian beasts and monsters, and it's th- this all feels like that. So like I definitely think there's a much bigger mythology. Um I think they're going to explain a lot of it, or as much of it as they can. I think
Yeah.
that's, you know, the fact that they have scientists who are stationed in the upside down, and they do
Right.
like daily drop offs of like supplies to, you know, that's what the whole crawl is. They follow the upside down, and they follow the tunnels, and it's like gateways to other worlds. Um, and the fact that like the demogorgons can just rip open holes to our world at seemingly anywhere, like
Yeah.
they can just tear a hole in reality and go back into the upside down.
Yeah.
That's like advanced science fiction horror stuff.
Right.
uh like that's cosmic horror, Lovecraftian horror. It's there's so many levels to that that like I couldn't possibly grasp. uh So I just kind of go along and enjoy it. But
And
you're
like to me, it's so exciting too because it kind of all gets tied together, it all gets tied back. Because 11 is the one that made the initial rift into the upside down. Like she did it, I guess, with Henry and put him in there, in the like we saw that last season. But then like season one starts out where she's made a rift into the upside down. Like, and I think that that's so interesting because it starts out where we caused this whole problem, like humans. We're testing on these children that had like psychic abilities, and then because of those children, we like open a door to something bigger. So I like that it's like all tied together. It's not just like, oh, there's this evil force and it's like manipulating us. It's like, no, we open the doorway, we put people on the other side, and it's created this like massive problem, you know?
yeah. Uh,
So
and you mentioned Robin and her monologues. That's another pairing that I've really loved this year is Robin and Will.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and obviously they have the connection of they're both they're both Will hasn't come out yet, but it's very obvious that he's all but said it. It's going to be like a big deal when he finally comes out. Robin is of course already out, and I feel like at the setting of this show, which is like the at this point it's like the probably mid to late 80s now, it's still like there was like gay panic in the 80s as much as there was satanic panic in the 80s, with the AIDS epidemic.
right.
So I feel like there's the trepidation that those characters feel, I think, is like for the time period they're living in is like legitimate. And I think that they have made like that's a pairing that I would never have like said, oh, these two characters on screen are going to work really well. The scenes with Robin and Joyce have been freaking hilarious. Where
Right.
and like I've seen a lot of videos that talk about how Robin is pretty clearly on the spectrum, and so she's also got that aspect to her character as well, and that like apparently she's like doing a very good, like they've written her as like an on the spectrum character who is not like a stereotype. It's a very accurate representation.
Yeah.
And I just love that like little trio together. um there's uh, you know so I'm really loving everything that they're doing with the characters. I like the mythology is just so far is really good. Vecna freaking when he finally shows up, somebody said it looks like Vecna took Ozempic. Uh,
Oh, yes, yes. Well,
he
it's
has
more like
this
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
he has this like one moment where he like puts his arm down next to a guy's face, and I wasn't ready for it, and I just went like, oh shit. like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I was like, that's like the most graphic kill they've ever done on Stranger Things. I was like, whoa, okay.
yeah, yeah.
So
When he shows up, it's very much like Thanos at the end of Infinity War. Like he even kind of looks like Thanos when I mean, he's purple, right? And he comes through, and like the gateway opens, it looks like Thanos coming through a portal, and they just like make short work of everyone around him. I really fucking love that whole sequence. And I mean, like, one other thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this too, but like I said, I didn't like Mike, but like a big focus is on his sister, Holly. And one thing that's kind of funny is that there's this argument with Holly's parents where they're like, she's not 5 anymore. Do you even know how old she is? And I think she's probably supposed to be playing like a 7-year-old girl, but meanwhile, she's like a 13-year-old girl. And there's that scene where Mike is talking to Holly, and he's talking about her being Holly the heroic or whatever, and he gives her a little D&D miniature. That was like one of my favorite fucking scenes in the whole series,
that
and
goes
like
back that goes back to what I said about Mike and Nancy and the hospital. Like
Yeah.
the Wheeler family, it's been like loser dad sits in a chair reading a paper. Mom, lonely mom, like flirts with a teenage lifeguard. And then Mike is off with his crew. Holly's just barely a character for the first three seasons. And Nancy's, involved with Steve and Barb, and then Jonathan. Nancy, by the way, is the quintessential. I love that she's become the quintessential 80s badass female heroine. Like,
Yeah.
she's, um, I said that Mrs. Wheeler has the Ellen Ripley moment of like, stay away from her, you bitch.
Yeah.
Except that doesn't really work out well for her. Whereas like Nancy is like, put the pumpkin up and I'll blow it away. Like, give me my shotgun. Uh,
Yep.
and, and she's just a total fucking badass.
Right.
And she's weirdly believable as a total fucking badass. And like, part of me is like, what is she doing with these two loser guys? As much as I
Right.
love Steve, it's like, what is she doing with Steve and Jonathan there? Like, dump both of their asses and like go find yourself like a freaking like cool guy. And leave these two jabronis alone who are like sitting there arguing with her,
Right.
arguing about her, like freaking Jonathan and Murray are like talking about her. They're like 4 feet behind her, talking at normal volume. I wanted her to just like turn around and like shoot the gun at them. Like, shut the fuck up.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, yeah. Some things kind of feel like we're kind of past that point. Like the idea of like Steve and Jonathan fighting over her is like we're kind of past that, which is funny because like Jonathan and Nancy are married in real life. And then not only that, but they're doubles on the show because they have like stunt doubles. They're actually together too. Like their doubles got together too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, like Jonathan's like one of my least interested. Like I don't care about Jonathan either. It's so funny. I saw like a post on Instagram where one guy was like, "I really love how this one teenage love interest character looks like he's like a retired Japanese cop, like this white teenage love interest character." And I was like, "Yeah, he kind of does look like that." I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing all my random Stranger Things stuff I've been absorbing for the past week. But just like in general, it's just been so fun. I've posted reviews or my little videos on TikTok. I post them on our YouTube channel. And I'll see people being like, "Oh, season 5 is so lame, or blah, blah, or it's boring." I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like this is the best version of the show so far for me. It's like, what are you gonna say? Like you were a fan before? Are you gonna say that like season 2 was better than this? Like
No.
I don't know.
So let
But
me ask you, because I think this is something we only have kind of like briefly even hinted at. In terms of like what's going to happen the rest of this season, obviously Vecna is back. Do you have any predictions for the rest of this season? And also, what do you think the grand scheme of these military guys in the government are? Like, what do you think Linda Hamilton's main plot? Because we don't really know anything about her other than she's looking for 11, and that she's obviously been hiding the sister for all this time.
yeah,
So, what do you think? Because my hint was she's working with the military that thought 11 was the cause of all of these problems, and that they have like supercharged the sister to go after 11,
yeah,
and that and that maybe that they're thinking if they can kill 11 they can like close the upside down once and for all, and that would trap Vecna. But it doesn't. The way that season episode 4 ended, I almost don't understand what the military's point is, because if they're not in there for Vecna, who almost destroyed the entire city, then what the heck are they doing there? Unless they're like me. Are they going to make like a superhero tag team to go after Vecna? Even though I feel like Eleven's already kind of defeated him twice.
Right. No, I mean honestly, Danny, I think it's just like our other show that we're reviewing. I think it's like Welcome to Derry. I think that the military, and they're even using it against the same enemy. They want to use it against the Russians. They want to use like the upside down as like a weapon or like get stuff from the upside down. You know, because I think that the military is painted in a very negative light in this show. Or there's been different factions and stuff, but like I think that they want to use 11 because with each of the psychic kids, they all have different variations of psychic powers. And 11 seems to be able to like telekinetically do things, and she can also like go into people's minds or communicate with people like on the astral plane. But I think that like she's the one that can like actually open doors into the upside down. So I think they want her for that. You know, because there's been so much stuff over the seasons, like with like there's the Russian military messing around with the upside down. There's the American military. So I think it's an arms race, just like it is in Welcome to Derry. You know?
It is kind of funny that we're covering two shows at the same time that take place 25 years apart from each other. And one of them is like the heat of the Cold War. The other one is at the very tail end of the Cold War. They both have military subplots that we think involve like trying to trap an ultimate evil entity to use as a weapon. Uh,
Right.
and that being said, they don't feel derivative of each other at all. Even though, weirdly, again, Stranger Things started almost as like an It spin-off, it felt like, where you
Right.
have like a group, like It mixed with Amblin Entertainment, where
Right. Right.
you have like a losers club of kids having to fight against, this monster from another world, uh, and now they're you know now they're basically the older kids. Now it's like the It Chapter 2,
Right.
where they're like in high school and beyond, and they're trying to fight and kill the entity once and for all.
Right. Right. I mean, Vecna is definitely going down. That's for sure. By the end of the show, it's just a matter of which of the characters are going to die, which is one of my the street questions I
So do
ask.
you have do you have any guesses?
Yeah, I do. I feel like you can't kill Robin. They might do things where it's like because they think we think a certain thing, they might do the opposite, right? I feel like you can't kill Robin because she's a lesbian, and like Will, I feel like you actually could kill because he's kind of connected to the whole thing overall. 11, I feel like you could kill Lucas. I did hear that like the actor that plays Lucas said that like he wasn't around for the filming of the last episode, so I feel like he could die. Sorry, spoilers for everyone if that's possible. I mean, who knows though? He might still be in it. They could kill Steve, but I'd be really fucking upset. I don't think they're gonna kill Dustin. Hopper, I feel like they've implied that he was about to die, or they've made it seem like he was dead like 3 fucking times. So I
Yeah,
feel like he's not going to die. I feel like him and Joyce are gonna get together. So, and then I guess Mike could die as well. So that's my prediction. Max is not going to die. She's going to come back and she'll be fine.
I
Uh, what do you
I
think?
think, and I think this is I feel like there could be a uh yeah, I was talking about this at work with one of my friends, and how like in Harry Potter, which you brought up earlier, how like
Right,
Harry was a Horcrux, and how like Harry like basically sacrificed himself to Voldemort. And then you have that like scene in the last movie where it's like the white world, and he's talking to Dumbledore. And I I always thought Harry Potter the book would have ended much better if Harry died. Because that was another prediction that I had, was that Harry was going to be a Horcrux, and that in order to kill Voldemort, Harry had to die. And I thought that the whole like subplot about the prophecies and how Neville was attached, that like Harry would die, that would weaken Voldemort, and that would allow Neville to kill Voldemort. That was like my theory going in.
Yeah.
And I think that that would make sense here with Will, where Will's been literally connected to Vecna since the first episode of the show, where he was kidnapped by the Demogorgon.
Right.
Um, and in order to like weaken Vecna or maybe to kill Vecna, like Will has to die on our side and Vecna has to die in the upside down or vice versa, something like that. I wouldn't be shocked if 11 died. To your point, I feel like Hopper, they they've teased him dying so much that it would literally have no impact if he actually died now.
Exactly.
I think Jonathan sacrificing himself for Will uh would be a good
Yeah.
uh I know it's weird, but there's also just the possibility that the good guys win and nobody dies. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, this isn't like it. Welcome to Derry, which for all of the nice parts of the episodes, they're always surrounded by like a specter of looming doom. This
Right.
has been a relatively, the only I'm trying to think like the characters who have actually died. Um, Eddie was like the most favorite, and he was just like a character who we met last season, and who
Right.
only really became a great character midway through the season.
Right.
Barb, of course. Uh, uh, Billy,
Billy.
who was kind of like a villain for the show. Um, they haven't really killed any of the main characters. And I kind of feel like, you know, did you watch Buffy?
Not all of it. Up to season 4.
Like they do kill some of like the Scooby Gang by
Yeah.
the very end, but like the core survive, it's
Right.
you like again going back to Harry Potter, like there are a lot of characters that die in like the Battle of Hogwarts in the last book,
Yeah.
but Harry, Hermione, Ron, they Luna and Neville, they all live. Um, all. So I definitely feel like there are characters who could die, but
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like the Duffers are sitting there going, "These are the conversations that we're all having, and they're gonna get out in front of them."
Yeah. Yeah.
But either way, I'm along for the ride because I thought overall, I think I would have given these 4 episodes probably like a 9 out of 10.
Fuck
Uh,
yeah.
I feel like the first 2 episodes were like 7, 7.5, 8 out of 10, and then episodes 3 and 4 were like 9.5 to 10 out of 10 episodes of TV.
Yep. Totally agree. That's a good wrapping up point because I gotta go get a Christmas tree. But like, yeah, I actually am on the same page as you as well. But I might maybe would have gave the first 2 episodes a higher rating. But yeah, I really dug it. So, Mr. Torkel, what do we always do at this point of the show?
We tell you what is on the channel. We've mentioned it several times. Literally, it. We're covering it. Welcome to Derry on HBO Max. We recorded our review of episode 6. That will be on the channel by the time you are watching this. We reviewed all 6 episodes of the Talamasca on AMC Plus, which is in the Anne Rice Immortal Universe, along with Interview with a Vampire and Mayfair Witches. We have I will be posting a Q&A with screenwriter Dennis Paoli that I recorded last night. at the 30th anniversary screening of Castle Freak, which was hosted by my friend Jared Hornbeck, who runs the Puppet Master Castle Freaks podcast. Everything Charles Band that you could possibly want, from Full Moon to Empire and beyond. Dennis Paoli was there, the screenwriter, freaking awesome Q&A that I recorded. And that's all I could think of right now. Charlotte and I are going to see Five Nights at Freddy's Part 2 tomorrow, so you can expect at the minimum, a 60-second short review from me, and at most, probably a 10 to 15-minute review from Charlotte and me about the movie. She really liked the first one. I was indifferent.
Nice. All right. Well, hopefully y'all aren't indifferent about the Lastercast. Danny's always out there watching stuff. He's always sharing his thoughts with you guys on the channel. So make sure you subscribe and give our video a like. Let us know what you predict will happen by the end of Stranger Things. And we will be back next time to review some more, and we'll shoot some more evil down your throats. See you then.